Hey photographers, I have a problem for you. Fujifilm asked if they could send over the GFX 100S review unit so I could try it out. Didn't want to disappoint them, so here it is along with the GF 30 to 64mm f4 and the GF 80mm f1.7 lens. Price, size, weight. This camera is a challenging piece of kit. You and I both probably think that the GFX 100S is slightly outside our price comfort zone for cameras. I wanted to make a good impression on this very intimidating camera. I dressed up for the occasion. Now, there are certainly some exciting things to try out. Lots of things to love, a few to hate. It's always interesting to evaluate high-end products with the hope that this technology will trickle down to more affordable products. But can I add any value to you, my viewers, by doing an honest, detailed, hands-on review? Well, I look forward to reading your thoughts. Please comment. So in the meantime, this is a package that's full of really desirable features, starting with a larger than full-frame 100 megapixel Bayer sensor, a weather-resistant magnesium alloy body, video recording in RAW, F-Log, and HLG, a quad-core CPU, up to 6 stops of in-body stabilization, a new nostalgic negative film simulation. Did I mention RAW video? I've switched out cameras, so now you're watching the 100S 4K 16:9 30-frame drop, recorded internally at a data rate of 400 megabits using the nostalgic negative film simulation. Even if we don't get to do a full review, I am going to post a video demonstrating the F-Log and RAW capabilities. But note that for RAW, you'll need an external recorder like this Ninja. That demo will be 4K 17:9 at 24 frame. Maybe I shall also produce one video using hybrid log gamma for those with hybrid log gamma sets. As we come to expect from Fujifilm, there are some interesting new approaches to camera operations and functions. Fujifilm's GFX compatible lenses have physical, marked, and detented aperture rings, including an auto position. Now, the body doesn't have dedicated shutter or ISO dials. The mode dial has the 4 PASM settings and 6 custom settings. Then, this topside LCD panel, when the camera's off, it displays not just the battery status and available card space, but all of the settings. Anyway, turn the 100S on and press the key, changing the display to black on white. A key on the other side changes the display to ISO and shutter duration. In aperture priority, the front dial selects the ISO. Incidentally, ISO sets from 100 to 12,800. Switch to manual and control the shutter with the back dial. The meter guides you to the right exposure. Press again to see a large histogram display. The menu has options for this sub-monitor, which can be set independently for stills and video. 8 screen elements can be customized. There are no options for the dials display or the histogram. There's no real need for this, as all of these parameters can also display on the LCD and the viewfinder, but with Fujifilm's excellent display customizations, it's possible to dramatically reduce screen clutter, and then flipping the 8cm 2.36 m.2 screen up provides a very old-school photography feel. However, I now have no finger that can easily get to the sub-monitor switch key. Before I look at the viewfinder, let's take a step back. The 100S is the junior SIB to the GFX 100, which costs and weighs about half as much again. If you've been considering the 100, the 100S is a bargain. The viewfinder is one of the trade-offs made for the 100S. The 100S viewfinder is fixed. On the 100, it's removable, with an optional up-down left-right swivel attachment. The 100's viewfinder is a 5.76 m. OLED. The 100S has a mere 3.69 m dots. Whatever. It's clear and bright. And the promotional materials told me the viewfinder refreshes at 85 frames per second. But the manual doesn't reveal whether boost EVF frame rate priority is required to enable that, or what the frame rate is when it's not enabled. And note that you select boost for either the EVF resolution or the frame rate. By default, the customizable function key beside the lens switches boost modes. There's a still video switch and a drive key, where the on-screen menu selects the remainder of the drive options. And this is where you'll find the 400 megapixel pixel shift multi-shot. Focus selection switch on the back. There's a joystick, which I'm finding less responsive than I'm used to. The NPW235 battery, same as the X-T4, is SEPA rated for 460 exposures. Now that compares to 800 on the GFX 100, which holds 2 NPT125 batteries. However, the 100S can be charged and powered using USB-C. Inside, this is firmware 1.0, and Fujifilm has been listening to our complaints. The menu is much better at returning to the previously used item than before, including the setup options. Both 4x3, 102 megapixels, and 3x2, 90 megapixel aspects are available. Most Fujifilm models offer only 3x2. And in addition to normal and fine, super fine. This 4x3 image of tulips creates a 9 megabyte normal JPEG file. Fine is 17 megabytes. Super fine is 38 megabytes. I'm loving the bokeh on this 80mm lens. Then there's RAW with both 14 and 16-bit options. At 16 bits, a compressed RAW file is 71 megabytes. Lossless compressed is 121. Uncompressed, 208 megabytes. Now, I've said before that all of your gear should be of roughly equivalent quality and capability. Processing 100S images requires a computer with a speedy processor, a powerful graphics card, a large, high-quality display, and the largest external drive that you can find. And you'll be buying more UHS-2 SD cards. A 64 gigabyte card holds only 236 superfine JPEG plus uncompressed 16-bit RAW images. Luckily, the 100S has 2 UHS-2 card slots. If you are going to buy this camera, clearly you want quality, so you wouldn't use lower settings, would you? Comments, please. With RAW video recording, the 100S is clearly serious about video. Mic in, headphone out, and an included HDMI cable clamp reinforce that. I would have been even more impressed with a larger HDMI port, but the best video feature? The recording time limit seems to be 2 hours. Here, the top line is remaining time, the lower is elapsed time. 4K and 1 continuous recording for 2 hours. USB-C powered, seamless card transition, no overheating either. The in-body stabilization is new, smaller, and better than the GFX 100, offering up to 6 stops with the 32-64 lens. This handheld sample is using internal optical and digital stabilization. Now, in spite of a stiff wind, the shot is steady while I'm stationary, a little less stable when I start to walk. These video capabilities are about the same as the X-T4, a best-in-class APS-C video camera. HD and 4K are supported at 16:9 and 17:9 aspects, 4K frame rates, 24 drop and non-drop, as well as 25 and 30 drop. HD has 50 and 60 drop. Data rates range from 50 to 400, but are dependent on other settings. There's no high-speed mode. The more efficient H.265 codec is available, as well as H.264 with a choice of audio codecs. H.264 records 8-bit with 420 chroma subsampling. H.265 does 10-bit. Both support 10-bit 422 on HDMI. For HDMI, settings for standard, which means with film sim, and F-Log recording internally and externally. When a recorder that supports ProRes RAW, like the Ninja, is connected, the RAW options appear. Now, 12-bit external recording is possible. Fujifilm does not have an optional XLR adapter as others do, but there are plenty third-party devices, and if you're working at that level of quality, you'll want to record externally anyway. And up to this point, you've been listening to the new Sony ECM LV1 wired lapel mic with a 3.5mm connector recorded through the camera. And now, I've switched to this wired Shure MX150 with an XLR connector. That's recorded externally and synchronized in post. Now the LV1 is suitable if a little large. I like that the clip swivels for vertical use on a t-shirt, but the cable is too short. Now I'll leave it up to you to go back and listen for the quality of the mic in the internal recording. I think it's fine, but this is better. If you're considering the 100S as your video camera, upgrade your audio gear. Well, that's a quick taste. If you want more details, please let me know what you'd like to see demonstrated in a full review. And as always, I read and reply to all relevant questions and civil comments. As I said at the beginning, I am not sponsored. Fujifilm doesn't get to review my scripts or the video before I post, and my videos aren't interrupted by ads. So those decisions make this a better channel, but there's a financial impact. So those of you who support this channel as my members have my most sincere thanks. If membership is for you, please use the join button below. Or subscribe. That remains your free option to access all my content. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.